So this movie came out back on what was it, April 5th of this year. Now, I still contend that it should have come out March 10th.
Hello, Mario Day.
Yeah, but yeah. So before we get in, kind of like our overall kind of like everything about it, what are kind of your quick initial thoughts of what you of the Super Mario Brothers movie?
So I went into this movie feeling actually quite happy in that I thought that it was a smart move that Universal / Illumination joined forces with Nintendo on this film. So they've got like co-production credits, looks like it's coming from both Illumination and Nintendo. Illumination has just been nothing but hitting home runs. And so I thought that was a good match. I mostly was impressed with the animation. I thought the animation was beautiful, and it brought the video game, I think, into really just kind of spectacular life. Being able to see it on the big screen, I thought was a real visual treat. I didn't really care for the story. I'm not the target audience, how I mentioned. I saw it in a packed theater which number one was super nice to be in a theater that was full, and then with a majority of younger kids, that seemed kind of like an average age between 8 to 10 years old, who were completely enthralled with it. So, I guess mission accomplished. I think.
And yeah, I saw it with my son a couple of weeks ago. Now, I enjoyed it. I want to say I believe we saw it in 3D. Yeah, we did.
Oh, nice. I did not.
Yeah, I figured that was, or no, was it 3D? It was either Dolby or 3D. I don't remember. It was the past month or so. It's kind of been a blur, but with when we saw it, I liked how it opens though, because it's like this kind of like fake, well, not fake, but like this commercial that they did for like their plumbing service, and it kind of is able to work in the Super Mario Brothers thing as far as like being their name, and even like putting like capes on them at certain points, and like the whole reason they're wearing what they're wearing is because it's like to be like over the top, like uniform for the business,
for their job. Yeah.
And they're like, what kind of plumber wears white gloves?
Right. And and they've got a family of origin. We get to meet their parents and relatives, and that is fun. And I thought the way they brought them into the world was creative.
Yeah, and I also like when we first like see that commercial too, when it cuts out and you see Mario and Luigi. You also hear Charles Martinet, who voiced Mario and Luigi in the Mario games. Is there in kind of like they did a really good job with also incorporating like a bunch of like these Easter eggs into the movie too, where like he
absolutely
looks like he's like the original version of like what Mario looked like in like just like from here, and then like when Mario eventually fights Donkey Kong here too, like that set is set up even kind of like where Mario showed up in the Donkey Kong.
Yeah. One of the I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mark. Please. One of the things that I love too, initially when they're still in the quote unquote real world, is they're off to a job. They're really excited about it, and it's as if they're running by a construction site and some other stuff in Brooklyn where it's set. And I thought that was so clever, the way that they moved the camera.
Yeah, and the side scrolling.
And the way that they were interacting with their environment, as if even though they were in the quote unquote real world, and they were in the video, it looked like they were in the video game, and thought it was super, you know, again, super clever and it looked great.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. And then, uh, like with like my son pointed some stuff out too. Like there's like different things in there where it doesn't say Duck Hunt in English, but there's like a restaurant or like a building somewhere that they passed that he noticed said like Duck Hunt in like French or Spanish or something like that, and then it has like the duck um, from Duck Hunt like on it. So there's like lots of little nuts like that.
Yeah, I
And
think that
then
the hardcore gamers probably were having, I hope, having a lot of fun of, you know, how they inserted a lot of stuff like that in it.
yeah, like the thing I thought was kind of funny too is like Mario was playing the Nintendo, like the original Nintendo, in his room at
Yeah.
one point.
Yep.
I was like, that's a weird thing to think about, that Mario is playing the Nintendo.
It's kind of meta, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Uh,
Yeah.
I really liked Jack Black in this as Bowser.
Yeah, he was a good choice for sure. Over the top, really great.
Yeah, like his Peaches song in the movie, which they've also released. They've released that as a scene as a music video, and then they've also released like a video Jack Black shot like in this like whole kind of like green suit with like this like helmet that has like Bowser's kind of like, I don't know, like hair coming off the back of it,
Yeah.
which looks like it was shot like on the set of the Barbie
Like
movie.
like he was motion capture or or just shot on a green screen, green screen set.
But yeah, I thought that was really funny for that too. So that's basically like him going full Jack Black into the Bowser part of that. Uh, I liked. So we also had Anya Taylor Joy in here as Princess Peach, who I thought did a really good job as Peach in the movie too. I liked Keegan Michael Key as Toad.
Yeah.
Which, if you didn't tell me that was Keegan Michael Key, I wouldn't be able to know that.
I wouldn't know. I know exactly. I thought the same thing, that he gave a very good vocal performance because I couldn't instantly recognize him. I had to wait till the credits. Like, oh yeah, because I know I've seen him doing press and stuff for it. I just didn't put it together.
That's one of like the only voice actors I could say that for in the movie, because like, I mean, Jack Black, I can tell who that voice is. I was able to tell. Charlie Day, I thought was really good as Luigi, but again, I can tell it's Charlie Day.
It's Charlie Day, yeah.
And then Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen.
Yes,
he sounds the same whether he's Mantis or Bob or Pumbaa or Alan the Alien, or
what's the name of that character he played in Toy Story 4? You know, was he the bunny or was he?
Oh no, that was Key and Peele for the Ducky and Bunny. I don't think he was in Toy Story 4.
Oh, I'm right. I'm getting confused. Sorry, my bad.
No worries. But yeah, he sounds like Seth Rogen. And then I know there's like a big like thing about Chris Pratt doing the voice of Mario in this, but I actually thought, like, especially how they start the movie too, that like they addressed that right away within the movie too, as far like on top of having Charles Martinet like right there at the same time, like where Mario says to Luigi, he's like, you think the accents are a little too much? He's like, no, you gotta have a gimmick. Which it also makes more sense too that they would have more of like the Brooklyn, like Italian Brooklyn accent than like the like over a top.
Then like the over like this, Mario super Italian.
They are supposed to be from Brooklyn, not from Italy.
Yeah.
So like I thought that was fine in the movie. Like it wasn't that big of a deal to me. And it still has this slight of an accent to it, or it's not just like Emmett from Lego Movie, basically, or you could transport his dialogue from the Lego Movie and put it into the Super Mario Brothers movie. It actually does sound a little bit different. And then I liked we got Kevin Michael Richardson as comic, which was the Koopa Sorcerer. We had a they did have like a bunch of like voice actors in here too, like Carrie Payton voices the Penguin King. John DiMaggio uh, does the voice in the film too. So it was good that a lot of people that like are like established kind of like voice actors also are doing some voices in this film too.
Yeah.
And then so like this movie is also since it opened on April 5th, it's
Oh,
basically beaten every box office
yeah.
record for animation.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, like it's already a 830
Oh,
plus million.
they're just printing money again. Illumination, they just print money.
Yeah,
And when I saw that, how just this, on a late afternoon opening weekend, how they were responding to it just in little old Salt Lake City, this movie is going to be huge, and it has been. Yeah.
yeah. So like as far now, you had mentioned the story a little bit. Like, what were like the things that you? So I guess we can start with bad and then go to the good. Like, what is stuff
Sure.
that you didn't like first, and then what was the stuff you did like?
I just thought overall, particularly in kind of the second and third act, uh, the whole premise just really wasn't working for me. And again, I was clearly viewing it through my grown up eyes, and not what's going to work for a kid. But I'm just trying to think of the specific thing, Mark, in the plot. It was like anyway.
With like with getting like the superstar.
Yeah, I thought it worked, particularly within the context also of the game, etc. I got bored, but again, I just continue. This is fun to look at, and I'm not the target audience. And the 10-year-old kids around me were enraptured with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't love. I thought that, and I think it's so hard to do, and I admire so much these studios that can really pull it off, where you can do a plot line and jokes that work both for kids and for adults. And I think that's so hard to do. I thought Illumination really aced it with creating a film that young children are going to be crazy for, and that their parents could tolerate but aren't going to necessarily love watching it, like they might watch, like maybe with a classic Pixar film.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
I would say this is definitely better than the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo,
Wow.
Dennis Hopper.
That was the most horrible film. Bless him. That was so bad.
Which was to show live action is not always better than animation.
Yeah. Oof. That one was really rough.
So what did you like about the movie?
So what I really liked, Mark, was, as we already addressed a little bit, I thought the setup was really clever, and I thought it just, for me, it really worked. Where, they're plumbing, they're brothers. They've got this plumbing business that they're trying to get going. They've got some insecurities and different things, which makes them more sympathetic, and how they are so anxious to try to build their business that's what drives them to go underground, and then to get sucked into the world. Well, that was just super, super clever, and the animation was just dazzling. Really, the way they brought that, I loved how true they were to the game design.
Yeah.
Yet they, I thought, really expanded it and made it very cinematic, and just great. You know, when they're doing the Mario Kart on the Rainbow Road, like how cool was that? It looks so great. Anyway, it's just I thought it was a wonderful representation of the game, and I think I just liked how respectful it was of the game. It wasn't trying to necessarily make the game into something else. That's one of the things that I guess can compliment them on the plot for, is that they weren't just trying to go in some whole new direction. They're like, this isn't the game.
Yeah.
You know, it was the, you know, it was, I think it was the game that everybody knows and loves. Like you mentioned, that scene where we meet Donkey Kong, that was such a great way to do that, because it was just, you know, this kind of new interpretation of that classic game that we all know and
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. I think, I guess, like maybe one of the only like bad things that I'd have to say was that I don't know if it was just because I was tired, but there was, so when my son and I saw it, it was the Rainbow Road sequence. I was watching that, and then all of a sudden it was the sequence with Mario, Luigi, and Bowser fighting in Brooklyn, and I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that I had fallen asleep for like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, this
Because
chunk of
I was like, wait, what the heck happened? I was like, I don't. So because I missed like this whole like marriage, uh, like scene and stuff
yeah.
in there too. So I I I'm planning to go see it again with
See it
a
again.
friend, so I can see that bit of the movie that I haven't seen, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, so after the movie, when I was checking to see if there was like an after credits thing, I went to the Wikipedia and I was like, how much of it did I miss? And I read I was like, oh, okay, I read this, I missed this highlighted segment, and I showed that to my son. I was like, this is how much I fell asleep through. But yeah, like you were saying, the animation style was fantastic. I liked how that was designed. I liked also how cleverly they were able to work in a lot of the elements of the video games between like Mario Kart and like the original Mario appearance in the Donkey Kong game, when he was just like the plumber in that, and it's even had like the like steel columns like in the thing like that, and they had like the whole training sequence with Princess Peach and Mario basically doing the platforming skills, so they could even work that
Yes.
into the story. Uh, like even talking about like how I liked how there's like an implied thing with the story too, that like Princess Peach is probably from the real world, like Mario and Luigi were too, but just somehow like wandered in to one of those warp pipes when she was a baby. um, and so that'll be interesting too to see, because I know like there's been rumors too about like them doing like kind of spin-off films for like Donkey Kong, um, just because if they, as like the movie showed, like they're kind of like within that like same like galaxy or world or whatever.
Yeah.
How they would do that would be interesting though, to I guess see like a full Donkey Kong movie with Seth Rogen, which he had talked about he'd be open to do, I guess. But yeah, I liked how they even like worked into like the different suits that like Mario could wear, like the cat suit, or like the fire flower powers with like Princess Peach or Mario. And then I liked like even with like the Mario Kart stuff, how like they could build like their like what vehicle they were going to use.
Yes.
So that was even similar to like if you were playing the only thing I guess they didn't work into the movie is like Mario Party in some way, or like for like those kind of games, or like I guess they could ultimately, if they wanted to, with how successful this movie's done too, they'd have to probably work something out with Paramount to do it. And then I don't remember what studio the Detective Pikachu movie was with. If they wanted to do like a Super Smash Brothers
Yeah.
like
Was that
crossover
Paramount too?
kind of
Yeah.
film, because that could be like Illumination Universal's like Mario Avengers movie where you get like Sonic and Pikachu, and then like all the characters that were in here. They'll probably try to do like a Star Fox movie now at this point, or I could see them trying to do like a
Yeah.
Metroid, like a Metroid movie could be cool too. Um, just because of how successful this was, I feel like 2023 is like the year that video game adaptations do really well, both critically and financially. Between like The Last of Us on
Yeah.
HBO, and
Good
then
point.
with Mario, both of which I guess because Pedro Pascal did that SNL sketch where he was Mario in basically a Last of Us kind of world. So if people haven't seen that, that's definitely a funny thing to check
Yeah,
out too.
that's
But
funny.
yeah, I would say I really liked the uh, like you're saying, like how they would set up certain scenes, like with like the side scrolling while they were in the real world, uh, or um, like other allusions to like Luigi's Mansion in like the scenes with like Luigi there with him too, and then just like allowing Jack Black to go full
Full Jack
Tenacious D
Black.
Jack
Yeah.
Black,
Yeah.
and just sing the Peaches song. Uh, but I liked that a lot too. I would just watch like a Bowser movie probably too. I don't know, but
A
I think this is
Bowser
because
movie
I'm a
could be
Jack
very
Black
funny.
fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I didn't even think about it until just now, is that Jack Black and Seth Rogen have been in an animated film together before with the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Oh yeah. Good point.
Just that time they were on the same team.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Right.
yeah, I think yeah, just like overall, I my favorite stuff was definitely like the visual storytelling of the movie, like and then like the how the animation was done, like the production design for the worlds, like how it was kind of based off of like what Nintendo had already kind of established, and like more so from like some of like maybe like the newer Mario
Yeah.
games.
The newer just good with more with a higher definition, right? I mean, just
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, I am curious to see like what they could do for like another film set within this, because obviously that's going to happen now with the movie. Definitely is going to hit like 1 billion
Oh,
at the box
if it
office.
hasn't already, right?
Yeah,
Like by tomorrow or whatever.
it will before May, or
Yeah, I think so
sometime in
too.
May. It definitely will.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I liked this cast. I would be curious to see like where the story could go from here. It's also interesting that like Mario and Luigi end up uh, living in the in the Mushroom Kingdom, so I guess they commute to the real world through the tube every day.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting. Um, but what would you want to see? I guess like in a sequel to this
Well,
when that eventually happens.
I I would be very happy to have another adventure with the team. With Mario, Luigi, with Princess Peach. Clearly, if you stay through the end credits, a bit of a spoiler alert, it looks to me that Yoshi
Oh yes,
uh, is going to be so something Yoshi-ish. You wonder, given the way that they place that's where they're thinking about see where a sequel is going to go. So I think that'd be fun with that, and then also again, a standalone Donkey Kong film I think could be very funny, and
yeah.
they've got a lot of creative stuff to work with, and I think that's good for them. Good for them. Again, they're just going to be making a ton of money and making a lot of people happy.
Yeah, and like so, some of the possible sequels they had talked about um, would are that let's see the post credits has a potential sequel featuring Yoshi. Black also stated that his interest in a potential sequel featuring Pedro Pascal. Oh yeah, that was the Jack Black had speaking of Pedro Pascal. Jack Black had suggested Pedro Pascal coming on to voice the character Wario
Oh yeah,
in a sequel, which could serve as that second film's main villain,
yeah.
which would be kind of funny and full circle with that SNL sketch too.
It's funny.
And then other spin-off ideas. Charlie Day had expressed an interest in reprising Luigi in a Luigi's Mansion movie, and then Rogan again interest in a Donkey Kong Country spin-off movie too. So there's plenty of ideas for sequels and plenty of ideas for spin-offs, and Nintendo kind of being like their own, sort of being their own film studio. Now like they had like their own, like film studio opening credit thing in here
Yeah.
too. So I can see them making other films beyond just Mario stuff too.
I can too.
And with some of the ones we suggested.
Yeah, just as you said, given the success of this movie, I bet they're making all sorts of plans. Well, and then also, I thought the release of this was smart. It was tied in closely with the release with the opening of that new Super Nintendo World at Universal in California. And they're building another one with that new Universal Epic Universe Park going in Orlando. And so Nintendo, they're firing on all cylinders. That Super Mario World in California looks fun. Again, it looks like you're walking into the video game. And I think the designers have done a nice job with that.
Yeah, I would like to eventually check that out. Just because I don't think it didn't open until like a few months after the last time I was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that will do it for our discussion on the Super Mario Brothers movie from Illumination. Don't forget you can follow us individually on Twitter at myself at Mark Ribber, and then Stanford at Stanford Clark. And then you can find the show on Facebook and Instagram at Animation Fascination, and then on Twitter at Animated Podcast. And then you can also feel free to email us at animationfascinationpodcast@gmail.com. And then you can also visit our site at animationfascination.net, where you can find all of the episodes as well as information on Phoenix Fan Fusion and merch. Trent Vactor edits our episodes, but for myself, I'm Mark Ribber and Stanford Clark. Thank you for listening, and make sure to turn in again next time. Let's go!